Hello, 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 beauties. Mo, the goddess here. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time on the channel, though, welcome in. Look around. Check out some of my other videos. See if there's something that resonates with you. And if so, make sure you like, hype, share. And if you're going to do all that, you may as well subscribe. But when you subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell so that you are aware when I upload more amazing videos such as this. I think that is I started out the month of May really hot. I said I was going to upload 3 videos per week for the month of May. And I did exactly what I knew that it was possible. And that was that I would get caught up just living my life, just doing what it is that I do. I'm here in Atlanta, and it is something about Atlanta, you guys, that gives me a sense of belonging. Now, I don't know if that's just, I don't know what that is. It may just be, it may not even be real, okay? But from the very point of me stepping my foot in Atlanta in 2016 for the first time, I always felt like this was home. So Atlanta has a way of just like giving me a big hug and welcoming me, and I kind of get stuck. I hear so many people talk negatively about Atlanta, and I do see some negative things that go down here in Atlanta. But let me tell you something. When I lived in Atlanta back in 2016, when I first moved to Atlanta, all the way to 2020, I didn't have any negative experiences. Like, all the people that I met were movers and shakers. They were very helpful. You know, a lot of dates that I went on were great dates with great men. I had nothing but good things happen to me here in Atlanta. So it wasn't so much the people. I used to hear things about, you know, how the people here, they're very pretentious and everybody act like they're on a reality show. I used to hear, oh, you can never find any men here because everyone's gay or on the DL. And I don't know. I feel like you get what you focus on. And because I was so green and I didn't even know any of those things when I moved here. I didn't even know the reputation that Atlanta had. I just came here very open and very explorative and very just feeling the things that made me happy. And one of the things that makes me happy when I'm here in Atlanta is the big trees. It's the squirrels. It's the beautiful red birds. It's the bluebirds. It's the owls. It's the woodpeckers. You know, things like that I'm not used to seeing in Las Vegas. So for those of you who don't know me, originally I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. And in 2016, I was just living my life, going through the motions in Las Vegas. So I am a truck driver by trade. So I had my truck driving job. I also had a side hustle where I did skincare. And I also was a personal trainer where I would train clients in my garage as my VIPs on the weekend. And I would go to 2 different gyms and train clients. So I was busy. And right during that, like, my youngest son had graduated high school, right? And one day, when he graduated high school, he moved out. He couldn't wait to move out. And I really couldn't wait for him to move out because my son and we were going through some things, you know, the growing pains for both of us. And he could not wait to move out. And he came home on graduation day and told me, Mama, I'm moving with my friends. And I was like, okay. And when my son moved with his friend, it was just me. And I've always been a single mother. I've raised 2 sons. My oldest son is 33, and my youngest son he'll be 29. My youngest son will be 29 on July 12th, you guys. Oh my God. I cannot believe how time flies. So he moved out, and I woke up one day and it was an echo in my condo. It was an echo in my condo. And I started to, realize like I didn't plan this part of my life. I never saw myself being by myself completely. Now it's always been me and my sons, either both of them or at least one of them. And when my youngest son graduated, it was like, oh my God, now I'm by myself. Full-time job as a truck driver, side hustle, doing my skincare, side hustle, training clients. And I thought to myself, I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to work this hard anymore. It's not about me being a single mother anymore. Now I am a single woman. What is it that I want to do with my life? And these are questions that I began to ask myself because I'd always lived in survival mode. You know what I'm saying? I always lived like robbing Peter to pay Paul, as my mama used to say. Making ends meet, doing this, doing that. Not wanting my boys to be a statistic, not wanting myself to be a statistic, a single mother raising 2 sons by herself, so I always have been this type of person, even from childhood, and that's a whole nother story for another day, trying to be accepted, trying to be enough, not wanting people to view me and think X, Y, and Z, whatever it is that they think with those stereotypes, So I was always like, just trying to do what society says is where you are viewed as successful. And then when my son left and it was just me, I was like, okay, I don't have to work all these jobs anymore. I'm not a single mother. I'm a single woman. What is it that this single woman wants for her life? And it's crazy because I didn't even get a chance to be a single woman ever. That was the first time when I was 40, I think I was 47 years old at the time. That was the first time that I had stepped into womanhood. Because really, when I got pregnant with my first son, I was 22 years old. When you're 22, you ain't no woman. You don't even know yourself. You don't know what you like. You doing all kind of crazy things to fit in, to feel worthy, all the stuff, right? So I hadn't developed a sense of self that young. I just went directly into mother mode, survival mode, because I was a mother by myself, doing it by myself. So yeah, I wanted to prove to everybody, I think everybody else more than myself, that I could do this. I don't need nobody. I don't need no help. I could do this on my own, And over time, I began to harden. I don't have nobody. I don't have no support. I can't depend on nobody. And those things harden you. Raising a little boy, it hardens you. Because now I want him to be hard. So I'm taking all of that anger and that and I'm putting it off on him too. Because you ain't gonna be no punk. You ain't gonna be no crybaby. You ain't gonna be no statistic. You know what I'm saying? It's the things that we do. And I did them in uh, accelerated mode, okay? So I never really got the opportunity to know who I was. And when that day that my son left, it was not even more than 2 days where I woke up and I was like, wow, I never anticipated this. Now it's me. Now I got to look at myself in the mirror like, what do you want, girl? Who are you without that title? Who are you without the single mother title? Who are you? What is it that you want for yourself? So that year, like within a few months, I said, you know what? First of all, I'm gonna quit doing all this hustling. You know what I'm saying? So I dropped my clients that I was training. I was like, I let everybody know, sorry y'all, I can't train y'all no more. And I started to focus on me. And I gifted myself a trip here to Atlanta, Georgia. I had never been to Atlanta, never even had the opportunity to travel too much at all because I was a single mother trying to make ends meet, robbing Peter to pay Paul, you know? And yeah, so I came here to Atlanta and oh my God, it was such a culture shock. Yes, there are Black people in Las Vegas, but this is my reality, y'all, that I'm sharing with you. They were not as progressive and affluent as the people here in Atlanta. I got on the plane, the pilot was Black, the stewardess were Black. I got off the plane, the employees in the airport were Black. I went to the rental car place in the airport, rented a car. All the employees were Black. I got on the freeway in the rental car. Everybody was Black. That's all I saw. And then I saw the birds, bluebirds, cardinals, you know, the big green trees. And I fell in love. And I said, I'm moving here. I am moving to Atlanta. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm moving to Atlanta. And I went back to Las Vegas and I started applying for jobs, and every single one of those jobs called me. So I no longer had an excuse to not be able to do that. And I was like, when they were calling me, they were like, okay, we'd like to set up an interview. And I'm like, I just left there. I'm back in Las Vegas and I don't live there. And they were like, okay, well, when are you coming? When can you come back and do the interview? And you guys, I was so scared to go back because survival mode. I had already spent my vacation money. I had already taken time off my job for vacation. I had already spent money on my credit card to rent the car. You know what I'm saying? I had already gotten the hotel. So it was like, okay, I don't know. I didn't think I could afford it. And I laid in bed that night because all of the jobs called me within a matter of like days. And everybody wanted to do an interview. So I said, okay. I said, I'm not going to doubt myself. I have rolled the dice on everything and everyone else, but I've never really taken the opportunity to roll the dice on myself. What is it that I want? And I booked those interviews. It was 4 jobs that called me back. It's like the minute I applied, the minute I said I'm moving here, God rolled out the red carpet for me and said, come on. And the minute that I applied, I remember I went home, I submitted those applications. The next day, somebody called. The day after that, somebody called. The day after that, somebody called. And before I know it, everybody wanted to interview me. So I flew back down to Atlanta within 2 weeks. Flew back down to Atlanta, did it all over again, and lined those interviews up back to back so that I would only be gone for 3 days. So I had an interview the moment I got off the plane. My flight landed in Atlanta at 4:50 a.m. I went to a bathroom at a convenience store, washed up, put on my interview clothes, sat in the parking lot and waited for the place to open up at 7 a.m. and went in there and did my interview. They hired me on the spot. Later on that day, had another interview, hired me on the spot. All the jobs hired me on the spot. And it scared me. It scared me. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I came back to Las Vegas, and they told me one of the jobs had given me the drug test and the background check at the same time that they hired me on the spot. And they said, you have to be back here to start work within 30 days, or you'll have to resubmit all of this over again. So when I went back to Las Vegas after doing those interviews, I gave myself 30 days. I said, okay, 30 days. In 30 days, I got to move to Atlanta. And it was so scary. And I went back and I laid in my bed one weekend and I was like, you crazy. What makes you think you could do this? And then I said, no. We're not doing that. You can do this. You don't have any excuse not to do this. No, I was telling myself, what if it don't work out? And then I had to reframe that and say, but what if it does work out? What if everything works out for you, Mo? Everything worked out. Now I'm gonna skip through that story. That's an amazing story. That is the story that I'm so passionate about, because that is the moment that my life changed when I moved here to Atlanta. And I stayed in Atlanta for 3 years. And then I got to the point where I was doing the same thing that I was doing in Vegas, going through the motions. I got me another truck driving job, doing my skincare. This time I was doing my skincare and I was putting it in spas and wellness centers and Cryo Club Atlanta, and all my products were there, right? I was training my clients at a cycle studio down the street from where I live. So it was like I was doing the same thing all over again. And one Sunday evening, knowing that I had to go to work on that Monday, I was sitting in my condo and I'm looking around the living room. And I'm like, oh my God, this is cute. This is good. But there has to be more to life than this. There has to be more. I know I was not born to just be going to a job day in and day out. There has to be more to life than this. And I sat there, I said a little prayer, God, what is it that you want me to be doing? Because I know this ain't it. This ain't it. It's not bad, but this cannot be it. And my laptop was at my desk next to me, and before I knew it, I had booked a one-way ticket to Bali, Indonesia, y'all. And I just knew that I wanted more for my life. I had never been to Bali, Indonesia. I had never known anybody who had been to Bali. I had not even I didn't know nothing about Bali. So that was a God move. That wasn't me. I really just followed my spirit. And let me just say, when I moved to Atlanta, I started going through this spiritual awakening, right? I went through this dark night of the soul, like all the things that I had suppressed over the years in my childhood, all the horrible things that happened to me, all the horrible things that I did to people. All of these things started to come up, and I started to experience these emotions connected to those things. A lot of my childhood stuff was playing like a movie every day. So I'm going through this whole awakening thing, and I think that's why, it was so easy for me to book that one-way ticket to Bali. Sight unseen. And it was like 30 days away. And I remember having like $647 in my bank account. That's all I had. I had to pay my car payment, and I sat at the computer, and the ticket that I found was $638. I'll never forget that. And I asked myself, like, girl, you gonna pay your car payment, or you gonna buy this one-way ticket? And I was like, well, if you buy the one-way ticket, you ain't gonna need no car, so forget about that car payment. I forgot about that car payment, y'all. And I bought that one-way ticket. The next day, I posted my stuff on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, Let Go. And people started calling me. They were coming by to get my stuff. I went to work like it was nothing, like regularly. I was going to work every day because I knew that in 30 days, I was going to be going to another country. And people would be coming by buying my stuff. And they'd be like, oh, you're selling all this nice stuff? Why are you selling all your stuff? And I was like, I'm moving to Bali. And they would be so inspired. Everybody's like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. What made you do that? You know, everybody. So it was like something so positive to talk about all the time. It was amazing, that feeling, that freshness, the same kind of newness, the same kind of hug that I received here in Atlanta. It was just like, Atlanta really taught me how to be free. I never lived anywhere outside of Las Vegas. Atlanta really showed me that, girl, you're strong. You can do this. You can do anything, girl. Anything you put your mind to. So I grew up here. I got to know myself as a single woman in Atlanta. So when I come back to Atlanta, I just love it. You know, it's so nostalgic for me, even though it wasn't that long ago. So I'm back in Atlanta. I'm sharing that story with you guys because I'm back in Atlanta now. And I wanted to talk to you because a lot of you are feeling that same angst. You're feeling that same call, that same pull. There's something inside of you telling you there has to be more to life than this. I come back to the United States quite often. I've been living in Bali now for the past 6 years, and I bounced around Bali, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Turkey, Mexico City. I've traveled more over the past 6 years than I ever did in my life, than I ever did in my whole life. Once I made that initial move, I was like, oh, I can go anywhere I want to go. So I retired myself at 49 years old. I threw caution to the wind. I told myself that there has to be more to life than this. I said, and I had a quick conversation with the Most High, and the Most High said, your wish is my command. You feeling it too. A lot of people are feeling it. And a lot of people are packing their shit and they're leaving the United States. They leaving. They've had it. They're ready to live. They're understanding that there is more to life than going through the motions. There is more to life than being in the rat race. There is more to life than trying to make ends meet, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Everything's so expensive. Somebody tried to shame me and not too long ago on one of my videos and said, why don't you just say you moved there because it's cheaper? That ain't why I moved, but that's why I stayed. That is why I stayed. And I understand now what God was doing then, how it has translated to what's happening now, you guys. So yes, I'm back here in the United States. What I've been doing, because it just don't make no sense to me to be paying rent, car note, car insurance, and struggling to do so. Everything's going up as far as the food and just gas. Everything is going up, but the pay is not going up. I come back here because there are so many things that I can get here that I don't have access to in Bali, in Southeast Asia, mainly clothes. So because I don't have a whole lot of clothes, I wear and wash my things over and over and over and over again, and they get worn out because it's so moist and so beautiful. So the weather tears your stuff up. It really does. The weather tears your electronics up. It tears up everything because it's so moist. And so I come here, I get makeup, I get my hair stuff, I get my clothes, underwear, things that I can't get in Asia. And yes, they do make all those things in Asia, but not my size, baby. Not goddess size. Okay. And not to mention, I have my kids and my grandkids here. And there's something about Atlanta that charges me up. That, you know, But it gives me an appreciation also to be back in Asia, because when I start spending all this money out here, y'all, I'll be like, whew. And I often ask myself, like, can you live here? Can you live here? So I've been having some real talks with the Most High. And I've been like, if this is where I'm supposed to be, because every time I come here, I feel like, I'm home again. I'm home again. Should I be staying? And I've been praying about it. Like, if I am meant to stay here, set it up the way you did for me in Bali, where I'm not struggling. Set it up the way you did for me in Bali, where all my needs are met. And I don't have to be stressed out. And I don't have to be worried. And I have learned to trust my spirit and follow that. So these are the conversations that I have when I come here. And every time I'll be like, pew, back to Southeast Asia. Because I know if I'm meant to stay, I will stay. But yeah, so you guys, when I come here, I hardly ever get a hotel. I want to turn you on to this life hack. I have been doing house sits. So before I even leave Bali, my calendar, however long I decide I'm going to stay in the United States, my calendar is full of house sits. I am a subscriber of Trusted House Sitters. And what Trusted House Sitters does for me is allows me to book open house sits that I want to do in Atlanta or wherever I want to go. So today I'm headed to the airport because my kids and my grandkids live in Las Vegas, and I'm starting my next house sit. This is my second one. No, my third one already. So when I came here on May 5th, I went right to a house sit. And I did that one. And then I left there and I went to another one. And this is my third one. And I'm going to another house sit. I start tomorrow in Las Vegas. And it works out perfectly because I don't have to worry about getting a hotel room. On this one that's coming up, like I rented a car for this. I've rented a car since, how long? I think I've had the rental car for like 2 weeks now. But when I go to Las Vegas, she's including her car. And then there are 3 more house sits that I'm doing back here in Atlanta when I finish that one in Las Vegas that include vehicles. So I love this because it just don't make no sense to me anymore to be paying these high ass prices. You got to pay for your food, which is expensive. You got to pay for your housing, which is expensive. You have to pay for your transportation, which is expensive. So now that I am doing this nomadic type of lifestyle, I guess you want to call me a nomad girl, I had to find ways to make ends meet. And yeah, so I get to live in these people's homes, beautiful homes. This home is beautiful. And you get to choose, you get to choose. The pets are cute, the homes are beautiful, okay? Yeah, so I stay on these house sits. I don't have to worry about a hotel. And I book my calendar up before I even leave Bali. So if I want to, I'm going to be here in the United States for 4 months. Well, it's past now. It's counting down. I will be back in Southeast Asia or somewhere in August. I decided to spend the summer here in the United States, namely in Atlanta, Georgia, because I get to feel that hug from Atlanta, Georgia, before I head back over to Southeast Asia. And I just wanted to share that with you. I just wanted to encourage you. If you're feeling the pull, if you're feeling the call, you can do it. Follow your spirit. You wouldn't be feeling it if it wasn't possible, right? You can do this. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And that's why we started out the month of May really, really strong. And then I got caught up in the whole Atlanta energy. I was like, home sweet home. But then home is wherever you are. right? So, yeah, I ain't gonna keep y'all. I'll try to hit you back up when I get to Vegas and share my experience, or at least some of my experience in Las Vegas with you. But in the meantime and in between time, until the next time. Oh, and if you are interested in becoming a trusted house sitter, I'm going to leave my discount link in the description box. And yeah, sign up for it. I always say if people are homeless, they ain't got nowhere to live, that's the perfect life hack. Live in other people's homes, take care of their pets, until you get your situation straight. But anyway, in the meantime and in between time, until the next time, you be fit, be fierce, be fabulous. Healthy is the new sexy. Bye, y'all.